Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and today I am going to be reviewing The Last of the Firedrakes by Farah Oomerbhoy. I was sent this book for free from BookTube Tours in exchange for an honest review, and also there is a giveaway to win a copy of this fabulous, shiny, beautiful book down below, so you can check that out. So this book is about a girl named Aurora who lives somewhere in the real world. I think she's probably in England. I don't know if they actually say, but she is an orphan. She has been orphaned twice now because her adoptive parents have now been killed in a car crash. So she is living with her really mean aunt and uncle and cousin in sort of a way reminiscent of Harry Potter. They deliberately are very mean to her. And one day her adoptive uncle kind of sells her out to this crazy dude who kidnaps her and takes her to a different world called Avalonia. And once Aurora escapes from him in Avalonia and finds herself just in this crazy fantasy world, she finds out that she is the rightful heir to the throne of the kingdom, and she has to kick her aunt out who killed her parents and usurped the throne and basically make the kingdom good again. So I had a really fun time reading this book. Pretty much the entire time I was reading this, I could barely put it down. When I was going to work, I felt really bad not being able to make this the book that I take to work because it was too big. That being said, I also thought that the second half of the story held up a lot better than the first half. I definitely had my issues with the first half. So for half of the book, I was thinking I would give this book a 3-star rating, but then for the entire second half of the book, I just felt like it was so much better, like plot-wise and writing-wise and character development-wise and everything. So I gave the second half of the book 4 stars for an overall rating of 3.5 stars, which I've never done before. That's the first time I've ever given a book between like a 0.5. Like between 2 different star ratings. I've never done that before. So my issues with the first half of this are as follows. So at the beginning, it was reminding me of too many other things. So it reminded me too much of Harry Potter at the beginning, with her aunt, uncle, and cousin being deliberately very mean to her. But unlike in Harry Potter, there really isn't much of a reason for it other than they're horrible people, the end. And then it also reminded me a lot of the Looking Glass Wars once she got to Avalonia. So I felt like it was reminiscent of too many things at the beginning, but then past the beginning, though, it gets away from that a little bit, and there gets to be a lot more uniqueness to it for sure. But then also I felt like the beginning of the book was not thought out quite as well, because we have her having already been orphaned as a baby, but then now her adoptive parents are dead, and we never hear anything about her adoptive parents really, other than she misses them and they once had a beach house or something like that. Those are like the only things we really find out about them, not even their names. So I felt like that part of the story just did not hold up very well, because we just don't hear anything about her adoptive parents, who she grew up with and everything. So really that was just kind of a convenient like way to have a mean aunt and uncle and cousin there, basically, and that's pretty much it. And there's also this whole montage of her being like teased in school by her cousin's friends, pretty much, and that basically was only there to show that, like, oh, poor girl, she's a loner, she has no friends. So for some reason I just felt like there wasn't really any point to that. And then when her uncle sells her out to a dude from Avalonia, because the dude from Avalonia works for the evil queen, we don't really know how her uncle like ended up wanting to sell her out, and or how he found out about that, how he was contacted by that guy, or how the guy from Avalonia owns a manor house in the real world. That didn't really make a lot of sense to me. So I felt like the whole beginning of the book could have held up much better if For example, Aurora had never been adopted and she was just in a group home and maybe the other kids picked on her there. Or if she was an orphan in Avalonia to begin with and there was no real world portion. Also, another big plot point that I felt was a little bit amiss was the fact that she only ends up in Avalonia because her aunt, the evil queen, wants to kill her, and is deliberately trying to hunt her down, and send someone to get her from the real world. So that part I didn't feel like made any sense because generally a monarch does not spend the time hunting down the descendants of whoever they took the throne from. That just doesn't happen. Especially when Aurora is already known to be missing and in another world and therefore not a threat at all. So that didn't really make sense. So basically, if Morgana, the evil queen, had never done anything about Aurora still being alive, Aurora never would have ended up in Avalonia to begin with, and therefore never would have been a threat. So it didn't seem like there was much of a reason for Morgana to go after Aurora and bring her to Avalonia. Like that whole that ended up being a huge plot hole throughout the entire thing. But the things that I liked better about the second half of the book, we have this really unique magic system that gets introduced that isn't quite like anything that I've seen in other books before. It definitely has a certain uniqueness to it. And also, the romance is done really well in the second half of the book. I always feel like romantic subplots really get in the way of a good story a lot, but this one really didn't. It really helps me empathize with Aurora a lot more, and it was just overall a lot more interesting. And it did a lot for character development as well. This book got more and more suspenseful as it went on, and by the end I am so excited to see what happens in book 2. So I was so excited when I got this book to see what an Indian author decided to do with a high fantasy setting, and I was not disappointed. I think this is such a good book, and I definitely recommend it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out the giveaway down below, and you can also, I will leave all the information for the author down below in the description box so that you can go and check out all of her websites, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye!